I want to talk about probably the best move that the Denver Broncos made on day three of the NFL draft. And it's something that's kind of going under the radar a little bit, especially amongst the national media. But the Broncos made a really, really big trade, and I think it was an absolute fleecing. Of course, I'm talking about the John Franklin Myers trade. The Broncos sent a 2026 sixth round pick to the New York Jets. So a pick that's not even for 2 years down the line for John Franklin Myers. And John Franklin Myers is one of the best interior defensive linemen in the business. He has consistent production throughout basically the entirety of his career ever since he got to the New York Jets. He originally started with the Los Angeles Rams and kind of flew under the radar there. He was on a really, really loaded Rams team at the time. Aaron Donald obviously was the feature piece on that defensive line. So Franklin Myers never really got a fair shot with the Rams. So after he got to New York is when things really started to shift for him fortune-wise. And if we take a look at his overall production since he's gotten to New York per Pro Football Focus, he's had really consistent with his total he's been really consistent with his total tackles, 50 total tackles in each single season since he's gotten to New York. Last year he had 12 quarterback hits, 35 hurries, pretty much right in line with the rest of his stats ever since he got to New York. 2 batted balls, 15 tackles, 16 assists in the run game, 11 stops, although that is down from previous years. His career high was in 2022 with New York when he had 22 total stops. But I remember in week 5 against Denver, John Franklin Myers was terrorizing the Broncos. That was probably one of his better games last year, if I had to guess. In fact, let me go ahead and look at his stats from that Denver game. I mean, he had 4 total pressures in that game, 4 hurries, and a tackle. So he was just consistently in the Broncos' backfield, making life hell for Russell Wilson. So I cannot believe that the New York Jets were willing to part ways with him. He's still only 27 years old. He's in the prime of his freaking career, man. Yes, he had a slightly down year last year. If you look at his overall PFF run defense grade, his PFF pass rush grade, those are all down just a little bit. But if that's just a fluke down year for John Franklin Myers and he can go back to his level of production in, say, 2022 or previous to that, dude, the Broncos got one of the best interior D linemen for extraordinarily cheap. Like, literally, they barely had to give up any draft capital for him, and they reworked his contract to make it a little bit cheaper. So he's under contract with the Denver Broncos for 2 seasons, $15 million, $10 million guaranteed. That's an absolute fleecing, an absolute steal. I don't know what the thought process was here when the New York Jets, they just decided that they wanted to move on from him for such a low price. I would have kept John Franklin Myers and see if he could reharness some of his production in 2022. Who knows? Maybe he wanted out and maybe the Jets obliged, but still, man, this is an absolute L for the New York Jets and an absolute dub for the Denver Broncos. I have no idea what the Jets were thinking here, and it's only to the benefit of the Broncos. This is easily the best move the Denver Broncos made on day 3 of the draft. They had some really good draft picks as well, but getting a starting caliber interior defensive lineman for extraordinarily cheap like that, that is Class A fleecing. Well done. Credit where credit is due. George Payton, good job. All right, Broncos country, let me know how you guys feel about the Broncos just fleecing the New York Jets, getting Franklin Myers. Drop those comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, as always. Be sure to leave a like on this video as well as subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss when we upload. We are over 3,000 subscribers now, guys. Thank you so much. Now we are on the road to 4,000. I'm hoping that we can maybe get to 4,000 by training camp. It's going to be a tight goal, but I really believe that we can get there. All right, Broncos country, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, I'm your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out.